Before I go any further, I want to introduce you to my co-presenter. This is Perry Margolief, producer, engineer, and guitar historian.
Thanks.
And as you can see, Perry bought for display for us 4 of Les's guitars, which we're going to be talking about through the presentation. So when you think about Les and you think about multi-track, you have to think about Les as the bridge over which modern artists travel in order to create their records these days. The idea of overdubbing, the idea of creating records by overdubbing, is a technique developed by Les and thought of by Les. So what we're going to sort of unpack for you here is how Les learned and how he did his first experiments with overdubbing, and then how those grew into multi-track recording. So the first thing that I wanted to show you was, this is the Les Paul, part of the Les Paul collection that's in Culpepper, in Virginia. Before the pandemic, we had a very unique private-public partnership between the Les Paul Foundation and the Library of Congress, where we went to Culpepper, and thanks to the great staff that was there, some of these guys are here now. Rob, I don't know if he's here. Brian is here. Matt Barton, and a staff of engineers that I brought down from New York City. We digitized Les's audio collection at the Library of Congress. So this first slide that you see is a wall of all of Les's analog recordings, tape recordings. There is a corresponding section in the vault at Culpepper of thousands of Les Paul discs as well, which we will talk about subsequently. So I want to hand it over to Perry now. There's a photo of Perry with Les. Perry was a really good friend of Les and spent a bunch of time, many late nights with Les, chatting with Les. So he's going to sort of take it on from here.
Hello, how are you all today? It's a real pleasure to be at the Library of Congress and to be able to share some of this with you. And yes, I wanted to have you see this photograph as context, because as a young man, I was a staff editor at Guitar World magazine, and I was put on an assignment to what we called a guitar safari. And that guitar safari took us to none other than Les Paul's home. Well, I had no idea at the time that through this meeting, Lester and I would become good friends, and he would spend many evenings eating Orville Rickenbacker popcorn till 9 a.m. in the morning. If you wanted to be his friend, you brought him popcorn. That was a secret. But we would spend many evenings discussing the why of all these things. And because I absorbed all of this, I feel like I can share some of his ideas with you. And I will begin with perhaps why he plays guitar. So if you would change the slide. Somewhere there, go ahead. Yes?
No?
It's coming.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead. Nope.
Okay.
Well, this is the 1927 L5. Do it one more time to the next one. Yep. Okay. So here's a picture of a young Les Paul, and you see him with his guitar and with a harmonica. But the thing that's most unusual here, because it had never happened before this, I believe, is that the harmonica is on a homemade rack for him to be able to play the harmonica and the guitar and sing all at the same time. Now, Les would discuss this with me because as a young man, as a child, his parents sent him to take piano lessons, which he rejected. And the piano teacher actually wrote a note which appears on one of Les's records, which states, "Please do not send your child back for further piano lessons. He shows no promise musically." I wonder where she is today. But Les, I believe, knew at the time that it wasn't right for him. And in conversation with him, he said to me that he observed a landscape in the world of music and performing, he had several passions. The most thing he was passionate about was performing. His imagination he was super passionate about, and being inventive. And he wanted to perform for people. And he said to me one time, you know, if you're a piano player, it's very difficult to be seen while you're playing the piano and have people pay attention to you. And to get your piano around is a lot of work. The saxophone, he said, you can't sing and play the saxophone at the same time. And the drums, you're just hiding behind all this stuff. Now, the guitar wasn't really an important instrument in 1927 yet, but he decided that the guitar was the perfect companion to be able to perform and get your message across. And so he adopted the guitar, but you can see from this photograph that he's already being inventive by making his harmonica rack and enabling himself to do all the things he wanted to do. It didn't exist, he created it. Okay, on to the next thing. There you go.
Before we leave Rhubarb Red, one of the amazing things, we found in the library collection was a series of recordings, most of which have never been heard, of Les as Rhubarb Red. So we're going to play one of the, I hope it'll play, we're going to play one of these Rhubarb Red tracks for you.
When you go down in Deep Ellum to have a little fun, you've got to have your $15 when the policeman comes. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Once I had a sweetheart who meant the world to me, but she hung around Deep Ellum, now she ain't what she used to be. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. When you go down in Deep Ellum, keep your money in your shoes, 'cause the women in Deep Ellum got the Deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. When you go down in Deep Ellum, keep your money in your pants, 'cause the redheads in Deep Ellum never give a man a chance. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Once I knew a preacher, preached the Bible through and through. He went out to Deep Ellum, now his preaching days are through. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. When you go down in Deep Ellum, keep your money in your socks, 'cause the women in Deep Ellum will throw you on the rocks. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues.
So the one thing I'd like to say there is that Les was an extraordinary guitar player, but he also was a remarkable harmonica player and singer, and that was taken live. There was no, this is pre all of the multi-track recording we're going to talk about, so he played, sang, and played harmonica all at the same time on that recording.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, you would know that's what 78s, right? All of the Rhubarb Reds are 78. That sounds really amazing. So we're going to move down in Les's life a little bit, and this is a really great picture of the garage. So one of the things that Les you could say as Les is the father of the home studio, right? So now they call them bedroom studios, right? Where pop stars make records in their bedroom because I guess they're too lazy to go to the garage. But now in the early days, Les built his studio in the garage, and here's a really great photo of Les's garage studio in Hollywood. And here he's working on his disc-to-disc recordings, which is the first iteration of this whole idea about creating music by overdubbing. So to sort of simply unpack what the process was like, he would literally record one instrument on a disc, and then take that disc, put it on one turntable, and then add another guitar and record the two of them together to a second disc. Then he would take that new second disc and put it back on the first turntable again. And by building the song that way, he would be building the arrangement from scratch. It's exactly the same way, the way kids do it today, where they first do their drum loops and their guitar loops, and then they build from there. So this is a photo of him. Perry said something really great yesterday about the plastic tubes in the corner of this picture.
So when you're cutting acetate, you have to draw the little piece away from the cutting head as you're doing it. It looks like he's got water bottles up there upside down, improvised to create a vacuum to keep the lacquers clean as they're being cut. Obviously very homemade and home invented, not a Neumann product.
Yep. So again, here's a great picture of Les and the amazing Mary Ford in a hotel room with a portable recording studio. So this notion of you can take your Pro Tools rig anywhere you go and make a record in a hotel or on the road. Here's a picture of Les and Mary from the early 50s doing that exact thing. A number of their hit records were actually recorded in hotel rooms. So this is a great picture with a nice RCA mic and an Ampex tape machine, and the Wally Jones mixer, which is up there, that white mixer on the top of the picture. That mixer you can see at the Mahwah Museum. That's still available. Here's a homemade record lathe that literally made by Les. The flywheel is from his dad's Cadillac. All the other parts are from his family's. There's a knife in there from his mom's kitchen. Les was an amazing tinkerer, and he really loved to create things from scratch, and he was really at home in the idea of repurposing things to be able to create new objects. And so here's a great picture of a homemade record lathe. I believe that's Brian Hoffa's hands on this picture. I wanted to show you what some of the discs looked like at the library when we first got them to try to play them in Culpepper. This is an example of, I believe it's called exudation, and it's basically a deterioration of the component, one of the components in the record. So this is the before, and then this is the after. This is after Brian had washed this particular disc. You can see it's the same disc because it has the red label markings in the center of it, right? So I wanted to sort of give you an idea a little bit about how the disc-to-disc recording went. And this year is the 75th anniversary of Lover, which was the first hit record for Les and the first record that was made with overdubs. Now, there's different stories about how many discs it took Les to make this particular recording. I believe we have a videotape where Les said it took him 500 discs to make this particular recording. I think at the library we might have somewhere between 40 and 60 Lover discs, but it took a lot of experimentation to figure out how to execute the process of overdubbing music because people hadn't done it before. And then, of course, because Les was an amazing musician, he wanted to make sure that his performance was great. So this is a little bit of taste, a little taste of Lover and the component parts that it took to make it up. So here's the first one. first guitar. Now here's the next disc, which he adds a rhythm guitar. Here's the completed master of Lover. Yeah. So one thing I want to drop in here is, so here's an example of what we call the space age guitar, right? Or Les used to call it his gremlin guitar. And the way he created the gremlin guitar was literally to record it at half speed. So he would take one of the discs, put it on the turntable, played the turntable at half speed, and then played the guitar along with it. And then when he went back to normal speed, the guitar would have that space age sound, the sort of, as he called it, the gremlin sound. It's amazing to think that he's able to keep the guitars in tune and in time when he's playing to the disc at half speed. That is really unbelievably difficult. So, you know, this is the 75th anniversary of Lover. It still sounds like music from the future, right? It really doesn't sound like a record that's from the past. This is, I don't know if you can see this, it's a little small, but this is a typical Les Paul track sheet. So Les was an amazing engineer, right? So he kept annotated track sheets, which we found in a lot of the tape boxes and a lot of the discs, where he basically explained how he made these arrangements and how the arrangement tree grew. So that's an example of one of these. You can see some of these on the Les Paul website. Okay, now we're going to move on to another guitar.
Okay. Well, before we were talking about how Les had a tremendous imagination and that he wanted to perform, that was his passion, and so he has now established himself as a good artist and is outperforming, but he realizes that the audiences are getting bigger and his lowly L5 is just not going to make enough sound for everybody to hear him. And in those days, the early examples of electrified guitars did not function very well. So as it was with the harmonica rack, Les starts modifying and experimenting with what he later will create with the electric solid body guitar. But here with the Epiphone that he called the Clunker, you can see screws going through the face of the guitar, and what he did is he put a bar across the inside of the guitar to bolt the guitar up and make it really effectively a solid body guitar. He did this, and that allowed him to play through the amplifier at higher volumes without feeding back, hence being able to play to larger audiences. This is just another expression of, necessity is the mother of invention, and Les was capable of conquering these problems as they would come up. There was nobody thinking this way at the time, and he would sit there and he'd go, well, my guitar's feeding back. How do I stop that? So you hear all the stories about the log and the railroad tie and having a solid thing that wouldn't vibrate. These were the reasons. He wanted to be able to play loud and clear and compete with a saxophone or a piano, or be able to play with the Benny Goodman Orchestra and not disappear into the background. And there is one of his early experiments, the Clunker. And here he is with Mary, and Mary's actually playing this very guitar in this photograph. At the time, I don't believe that they really had, this is Les's guitar, this is Mary's guitar. They just had guitars in the house, and they would have all these guitars working and modified. You can see the big pick guard on the guitar Les is playing because he's experimenting with different pickups. I believe the pickup in the bridge, he's already heading towards the low impedance pickup, perhaps not quite yet, but that's where he ends up. But there they are on some TV show or concert performance with clunkers. Steve?
Yep. So we're going to move on a little bit and start talking about sound on sound. So this tape machine still exists. It's also at the museum in Mahwah, New Jersey. This is the actual tape machine that Les made How High the Moon on, and a number of his hit records. And here is the head that Les had this amazing brainstorm idea to add to the tape machine. So if you think about it in context for what we've been talking about his disc-to-disc work and the idea of overdubbing, when he got the Ampex tape machine from Bing Crosby was one of the first investors in Ampex, right? And when he gave Les one of the early machines, and of course, again, as Les was an experimenter and an inventor, he thought about the tape machine, and he had this idea that if he added another playback head to the tape machine, he would be able to do on tape what he had previously done in his disc-to-disc experiments. So here's the actual tape machine, and encircled in red is the extra head that he added. There's a wonderful story in his Les Paul's bio where he put the head in, he hired some guy from the hardware store to come to the hotel room, screw the head in, and then he did a song, and he played a guitar part, and then he played the overdub to it, and there were two guitars. And in the book, he talks about how happy, literally, him and Mary were jumping up and down because it literally worked, and he could then do these overdubs with a tape machine. I'm going to sort of play an example now of his sound-on-sound overdubs. So without being too geeky here, you have to think about it this way. There are a number of Les Paul recordings made with only one tape machine. How High the Moon is made with only one tape machine. It has no stems, as we call it in modern times, or as Les used to call them, multiples. It doesn't have the basic arrangement parts because he made it on this machine, and as he was creating the new part, he was erasing the first part, right? It was all additive and destructive. And so there are no arrangement stems for How High the Moon. However, there are many, many Les Paul hits, Les Paul and Mary Ford hits, that do have arrangement stems. So I'm going to play you one, which is Bye Bye Blues. And the first thing I'm going to play is just the rhythm guitar and the bass. I just pointed out something great. The two of them would do these basic tracks together. We think in this particular case, that's Mary playing the rhythm guitar and Les playing the bass. Mary was an amazing guitar player, amazing musician. There are lots of videos. You can see her online, her and Les dueling, and she was really extraordinary. So that's the basic track that you get. You get the whole song. I'm just playing you a little snippet of it. Then here's Mary. Here's the next one is the rhythm, bass, and one Mary vocal.
Don't sigh, don't cry, sun is shining, no more pining.
And next is two voices.
Don't cry, don't sigh, sun is shining, no more pining.
Here's three Marys.
Don't cry, don't sigh, sun is shining, no more pining.
And here's the completed master.
Bye bye blues, bye bye blues. Don't cry, don't sigh, sun is shining, no more pining. Just we two, smiling through. Don't sigh, don't cry, bye bye blues. Shining just we two, smiling through. Don't sigh, don't cry, bye bye, bye bye blues.
So that could have taken maybe 18 or 20 overdubs to create. And if you think about how clear that recording is, it's absolutely astounding that he's able to do that. So he's like this amazing triple threat. He's an inventor, he's a guitar player, and he's an amazing engineer as well. I mean, that's a #1 record for them as well. So here's a great picture that we found of them on the Sullivan show. Les is playing one of the clunkers, right? This one with the black pick guard. I think somewhere in the library here, you can watch this performance. I think they've digitized them here. And then we're going to go on to another guitar.
Okay. So as we've said, Les realizes early on that he needs to go electric so that people can hear him. But then he encounters another tremendous problem. People come to see him live and they want to hear him perform what he's put out on his record. Well, that's pretty hard with two people when your record has all these multiples on it, as he would call it, or overdubs. And in today's world, we live in the world where you see a concert and they're syncing to tapes, right? But Les really invented that idea as well, because he decided, well, I've got to give the audience what they want. They're going to be disappointed if they don't hear that song with everything going on. So he brought his tape machine with him and developed a system whereby he could control and play tapes, record parts, play them back, and perform live with his kind of sound-on-sound technology. And he did this by using a device that he created that he called the Les Pulverizer, which is the black box on the bottom of the guitar and right in front of you here. And he would control the pulverizer on stage, and people would lose their mind because they had no idea how he could make all that sound. Les told me about going to the White House to play for Eisenhower, since we're here in Washington, and that Nixon was the vice president at the time, and that both Eisenhower and Nixon were confused and baffled by the fact that there was so many people playing all at once, but it was just Les and Mary. And so again, the mother of necessity, his inventiveness, his ability to overcome obstacles and to be able to deliver on the promise, if you will. He did not want to disappoint his audience and have them show up and go, oh, that Les Paul, he can't really do what's on his record. So he figured out a way to do it in 1950 something. Now you go around the street, you'll see a kid on the street with a little looper pedal. He'll play a rhythm part or a percussion part and then a rhythm part and then a thing, and he'll build a whole song and he'll be playing for you. Les gave that to us.
So we're going to move now sort of into the beginning of the multi-track era for Les. So Les was a part of the development of the first 8-track recorder. Again, because think about how he made his records. He was overdubbing parts. So again, he had this notion that, well, what if instead of just overdubbing and erasing stuff or going from one tape machine to the next tape machine, what if all the tracks and all the music tracks existed on one piece of tape? So in that sort of idea and sense, you get the beginnings of what became this first Ampex 8-track recorder. Les had one delivered to his house, was really very unhappy with it, sent it back to the factory. They went back and forth. We have many letters in the archive of correspondence between Les and the engineers at Ampex to develop the machine. It was really difficult to develop. Again, it's something we take for granted, but this was a really difficult invention to make, and Les had a big hand in that. One of the other things that happened is that once they got the tape machine, the 8-track tape machine, well, they needed to have a console that would be workable with the 8-track tape machine. So Rein Narma, who's a name that is sadly not well known, but was a brilliant engineer. Perry, you can maybe talk a little bit more about him as well. Designed with Les, and Rein Narma built this 8-track console, which also still exists and is at the museum in Mahwah, at least for now. And it's at the museum in Mahwah. It's in wonderful shape. And this is the first 8-track recording console. This is the way that they developed the idea to be able to record 8 separate tracks of music and be able to listen to them and be able to monitor them. You can see there's 3 buses, right, in the thing, left, right, and center, right? Because I think at this point they were using 3 speakers and a 3-track tape machine, which was connected to this. So this is the first 8-track console that Les used. Here's a really amazing picture of Les in the house in Mahwah with all the things that we've been talking about. He's got the guitar that's here. There's the console, the tape machine, and you can see he's playing and recording something. Just for a real geeky thing, I don't have a pointer, but over Les's right shoulder in the rack, there's a white, yeah, oh, thank you.
We like this guy.
I love this guy. That's the first Fairchild compressor limiter that was ever made. Just to tell you how incredibly valuable they are, about 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago, they sold one for $250,000. That was at Arden in Memphis. So this one actually is the first Fairchild, and we're hunting, and hopefully we'll be able to find it. But
this
that's
was also designed and made by Rein Narma.
right. So that's a really wonderful picture of Les at home in his home studio. And we'll go on now.
So we're back to guitars. Well, there's not too much that I can say more about Les Paul and his guitar creativity, although looking at this guitar, you can see as well that it's been modified a number of times. It's got a larger scratch plate with some homemade low impedance pickups that he made on his kitchen counter, and on the edge of the guitar, you can see a input for a microphone so that you could actually play and sing at the same time. And the only thing I'd like to say about these guitars that you see in front of you now is that they're on their way to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. I'm in the process of building a permanent gallery for the American guitar. It's going to be celebrated as it should be. And Les's guitars will be a big part of that. And we hope that this will really help the future generations of people to understand what an important role the guitar has played in the popular culture of the 20th century. As I like to say, the Beatles wouldn't have been so hip as an accordion band. Kind of awful image, but for those of you who like accordions, I apologize. But the guitar is really an American construct. It comes from Spain and from Germany, from C.F. Martin, but its real development happens in America, and Les Paul is a tremendous part of that in developing what enables people to play it loud, to be heard, for the audience to pay attention to this instrument that a century before was relegated to parlors and very close, intimate performances. And we all owe Les a debt of gratitude for that. Thank you.
Just a couple of more slides, and then we'll be happy to take some questions. Here's a nice picture of Les and Mary with two SGs.
Right. You can see that in this photograph they have the standard Gibson pickups, and I'm sure that the guitar that Les is holding in the photograph is probably the one that's here, but it's been modified many times since that photograph.
And I wanted to just show you this because I got a kick out of it. This is one of the later or last iterations of Les's home studio. This was in the living room in Mahwah. You can see, thanks. You can see he has an Ampex 16-track machine there. There's that Fairchild again on the right corner this time that we're searching for. And then this was literally the living room in 1980. And then the last thing that we wanted to do was just sort of leave you with some music. So this is a great version of Sitting on Top of the World.
I'm sitting on top of the world, just rolling along, rolling along. I'm quitting the blues of the world, just singing a song, singing a song. Hallelujah, I just phoned the parson, he get ready to call, just like Humpty Dumpty, I'm ready to fall. I'm sitting on top of the world, just rolling along, rolling along.
Okay, so Perry and I would be happy to take any questions that anyone has. Yeah. Hold on, I think it's gave you a mic.
Yeah, I had few questions really. One thing I'm curious if you know the status of his house in Mahwah. I assume it's not being preserved in any way, but it seems like a pretty amazing place. It was built to be a TV studio. It's where they made their TV show. It was his recording studio.
Right.
It must have been an amazing place to walk through.
I've been to the house many times in the last months. I'm going to the house again, I guess, on Monday, and the house is still there, and it's in rough shape, but it's our hope at some point to restore it. And
So does the
still
family own
there.
it? The family still own it, or the foundation, I guess, or?
Well, yeah, there's Michael Brunstein's here, and he's the head of the foundation, and you know, after our chat, you might want to chat with him about it.
Oh, okay. Oh, and then the other question I had was with the recording you played of Lover, where you played the initial tracks. Did he start with the lead guitar? That seems like the last thing you would start with. Like what was the timing mechanism?
So, you know, I gave you a taste of how the arrangement was built, but at another, you know, you can email me or whatever, and we could talk more about that. But sometimes he would start with a rhythm guitar. Sometimes he would start with like a percussion instrument to sort of set the time for what the song would be like. And obviously Lover is before Mary, so he's doing Lover all by himself. So sometimes it would be a rhythm guitar, sometimes it would be a percussion instrument. Oddly enough, like Lover is made in sections, right? Like you notice it has that section which is completely double speed, double tempo, right? There's actually discs just about the creation of the B, what I would call like the B part of the song. And then at some point, he put the two parts of the song together.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did use 500 discs, if you count the ones he had to throw away, you know.
Yeah, it's really possible. I mean, I'm always, you know, neurotic about not being factual because I don't want people to yell at me. But we have less on film saying, yeah, I used 500 discs in order to make Lover. Anybody else? Oh, yeah. Nick?
Trying to resync up those stems from Lovers to see how they go together?
You're a sneaky dude, aren't you? So here's what I can say about that. Fascinating. So here's what I can say about that. So when you unpack the stems from the analog tapes, what we found is that they are not the same length nor the same time, because he's using 2 300s, right? And the speed was weeble wobble, which is a nice way for me to say that they move. So when you look at the stems to Bye Bye Blues, the rhythm guitar and the bass stem might be 2 minutes and 1 second. The next iteration that has Mary will be 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So in the modern sense, they don't lock up. But I have some good news, which is my engineer, Tom Camuso, and I have been working on that with the people at Cedar, which is like an advanced sort of software company, and they have technology, and we've been literally working for the last 6 weeks on just this issue. And the great news is we've been able to line the stems up, because once you do that, you're then able to listen to the music. You will be able to show the music to students, because students will be able to put them in their DAW, and hopefully we'll be able to make some real stereos of Les Paul from his actual stems, right? So that's an amazing question, and they don't line up, but they will. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? Well, if that's
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.